The year 2020 represented a radical shift in our history, marked by pandemics, natural disasters, and global conflicts. Since then, each new year has brought events that seem as if they were lifted from an apocalyptic scenario. Now, with 2025 approaching, we cannot help but ask, what could possibly surpass all that we have already experienced? Imagine millions of people losing their homes due to unprecedented climate disasters, nations paralyzed by pandemics, and geopolitical tensions reaching levels unseen since the Cold War. Could 2025 be the year in which something even more dramatic is set in motion? Before we continue, it is important to remember that, as Christians, we believe that only God holds absolute control over the future. The predictions and prophecies presented below are meant to inform and prompt reflection, not to instill fear. According to the second letter to Timothy chapter 1, verse 7, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and self-discipline. Therefore, let us trust in the Lord, who has a perfect purpose for each moment of our lives. Are you ready to discover what 2025 may have in store for us? Let us now explore the 7 surprising prophecies. Prophecy 7. Abhigay Anand and Vedic Astrology. Abhigay Anand, an Indian young man of only 18 years, gained worldwide notoriety thanks to his profound knowledge of Vedic astrology, an ancient system with over 5,000 years of tradition. Considered a prodigy, Anand has stood out for making predictions that come true with astonishing accuracy. For example, he correctly warned of the earthquake of 7.4 degrees that occurred in Taiwan in April of 2024. However, what draws the most attention are his warnings for 2025. According to Anand, we are not facing solely a natural crisis, but also unprecedented economic and geopolitical challenges. He points to a global recession that could potentially be more devastating than previous ones, affecting both emerging markets and developed countries, in addition to predicting an escalation of tensions between China and Taiwan, which could trigger a domino effect of instability on the international stage. Even though there is some skepticism regarding Vedic astrology, Anand's predictions have sparked debates and serve as a warning to prepare for an uncertain future. Prophecy 6. Edgar Key and the Vision of New York. Edgar Key, known as the Sleeping Prophet, was a renowned North American clairvoyant who claimed to receive revelations during states of deep trance. Throughout his life, he carried out more than 14,000 psychic readings covering topics such as health, spirituality, and events of an apocalyptic nature. Among his visions, the one regarding New York stands out for its dramatic intensity. Key imagined the city with flooded zones, ruined buildings, deserted streets, and populated by silhouettes he termed specters. This description suggests that, in the future, natural disasters and structural problems could transform the iconic metropolis into something unrecognizable. Some current indications, such as the migration of residents driven by a high cost of living and the phenomenon of urban zombies, that is, individuals affected by drug use, seem to corroborate this vision. In addition, recent studies indicate that New York might be gradually sinking, a factor compounded by the rising sea level caused by climate change. Key also mentioned elongated, cigar-like vessels associated with UFO sightings that some interpret as precursor signals to this disaster. Although he did not set an exact date for when this scenario would occur, many see in his accounts an approach to reality, especially in light of the growing global tensions predicted for 2025. Prophecy 5. The Economist cover. The magazine. The Economist is known for its covers filled with symbolism and messages which, although based on global analyses and trends, are often interpreted as warnings about future challenges. The edition corresponding to 2025 in particular caught attention for its somber tone and visual elements, suggesting crises of geopolitical, economic, and technological nature. In that cover, tones of black, gray, and red predominate, colors that evoke an atmosphere of uncertainty and danger. Among the figures depicted are Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, illustrated with nuclear symbols, and Xi Jinping, with allusions to Taiwan. These elements suggest a possible re-emergence of Trump in a leading global role, nuclear tensions related to Putin, and a China that is increasingly impatient with Taiwan, all of which could trigger a conflict of great proportions. Other details, such as a clock marking the exhaustion of time and references to artificial intelligence and radioactive energy, reinforce the message of urgency, urging nations to make responsible decisions before the situation worsens further. Thus, the cover of The Economist for 2025 acts as a wake-up call regarding the risks that could, in a short time, reshape the global landscape. According to her records, 2025 would mark the start of a devastating global conflict, in which a war in the East could have repercussions for the West. Babab Banga also suggested that democratic governments in Europe would face an unprecedented crisis, leading to profound political changes on the continent. This instability could arise from internal conflicts, economic problems, or even from the domino effect of a large-scale conflict. Many observers relate current events, with escalating tensions in the Middle East, and the intervention of powers such as Russia, the United States, and China, as indications that this prophecy might be drawing near. The prediction that Russia would emerge as the global leader after the conflict is also seen as a possible reflection of recent geopolitical dynamics. Prophecy 3. Isaiah and the disappearance of Syria. Isaiah, one of the most important prophets of the Old Testament, is known for his extensive prophecies concerning Israel and neighboring nations. One passage in Isaiah 17 announces the extinction of the kingdom of Syria and its capital, Damascus, a verse that has been the subject of multiple interpretations over the centuries. Some believe that this prophecy may materialize in the current scenario or in the near future, possibly in 2025. Within the biblical context, Isaiah offers messages of judgment and hope. And in this case, the destruction of Damascus is seen as an event with both global and spiritual repercussions, potentially even foreshadowing large-scale conflicts, such as a possible attack from Iran against Israel. Such events could trigger a series of apocalyptic occurrences that would radically alter the balance in the Middle East. Observing the recent problems Syria has faced, political instability, damages caused by the civil war, and the constant tensions with neighboring countries, some interpret these signs as a precursor to the fulfillment of this prophecy. Prophecy 2. Nostradamus and extreme events. Nostradamus, the celebrated French prophet of the 15th century, is remembered for his enigmatic quatrains, which many interpret as predictions of major historical events such as the French Revolution, the World Wars, and the attacks on 9/11. Regarding 2025, some of his quatrains seem to suggest a year filled with extreme phenomena, both natural and technological. Among Nostradamus's warnings is the prediction of a significant increase in extreme climatic events, floods that will cover high areas and droughts that will devastate fertile lands. These quatrains can be understood as a warning about the intensification of climate change. In addition, the prophet made reference to an ecological disaster in the Amazon, describing it as a world garden submerged in contaminated waters, which can be interpreted as a metaphor for the destruction caused by deforestation and pollution. Another recurring theme in his visions is technological advancement and the ethical challenges it brings. Nostradamus mentions a man who traverses between two worlds, which many interpret as the fusion of human and machine, an allusion to the advancements in artificial intelligence and the incorporation of technology into the human body, raising questions about identity and control. Prophecy 1. The Doomsday Clock. Unlike the other predictions, the Doomsday Clock is not a prophecy in the strict sense, but a scientific symbol created in 1947 by a group of atomic scientists to measure how close humanity is to a global catastrophe. This clock, whose hands move closer to or further away from midnight, depending on the rise or fall of global risks, reached in January of 2024, the historic mark of only 90 seconds to midnight, the closest point ever recorded. The most recent update highlights a confluence of risks, ranging from nuclear tensions to the effects of climate change and the advances in disruptive technologies. Conflicts such as the war in Ukraine, the escalation of tensions between Russia and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and the growing impacts of climate change suggest that we are indeed on a worrisome trajectory. For 2025, the projections point to an even riskier scenario, with the potential for a nuclear conflict and a climatic point of no return. This critical scenario would make it clear that if urgent measures are not taken, whether through diplomacy, the adoption of sustainable technologies, or international cooperation, we could dangerously approach an irreversible collapse. Thus, the doomsday clock serves not only as an alarm, but also as an invitation to action, reminding us that the fate of humanity still depends on the decisions we make today. Thank you very much for following along with this reinterpreted version. We hope that this version inspires you to reflect on the difficult times we live in and the challenges that the future may hold. If you appreciated this content, please consider subscribing to the channel and turning on notifications to continue exploring relevant and thought-provoking topics. May God bless you and guide us toward a safer and more hopeful future. Amen.